point because I remember I was going to stay for my master's at Penn State, and my advisor, I'll never forget, was a black guy named Clifton Harris. I think that was the guy's name. He was just like, "Listen,
that's a black name."
Yeah, he's like, "Listen,
black."
Exactly. I still have his card, still have his business card. He was like, "Listen, don't do it." I was like, "But won't a master's degree look good on my resume?" He's like, "You're in communications. Honest to God, you should, like, if you weren't a senior, I would tell you to drop out." I was like, "What?"
Because you a loser? Before you a loser to your face or what?
No, he's just like, "You're a communications major." He's like, "Listen," he said, "employers for this field that you're in." Mind you, this is the College of Communications. He's an advisor for the College of Communications. Like, he works in the department. He's like, it's all about experience. It's all about what you've done. Your degree is great. Awesome. It's going to be a prerequisite for sure, at least a bachelor's. But master's in communications and like journalism or broadcast or telecom or media relations or PR or anything like that, or print or journal or broadcast. He was like, "Listen, it's irrelevant." He's like, "Your experience is everything."
Now that time has passed, do you think his word was true? Like,
absolutely facts. Prime example is the most recent job I interviewed for. I interviewed for Cross Border Solutions. They want me to be their business podcast host. And, we've had really good talks. I made it to the final round. I'm waiting to hear back on a final decision. We talked salaries. We talked about the actual position. So I feel good going into it. After I did the first interview, the first exercise they gave me was they sent me a script and they were just like, turn this into a podcast episode. So I was like, all right.
Right. I do this regularly.
I do this on the reg.
So have you heard a debate? No, go ahead.
I mean, I figured I had such a leg up going into that because, what I did was basically I turned it into an episode on one of my other podcasts, the Trick Shot podcast, and I used Anchor. I used all the filters and all the different apps and plugins, and I made it a whole freaking production. I feel like it was so well received. In the third interview, the Zoom interview, he was like, "Yo, you get it. You got the assignment. You understood the assignment completely." And that came from experience. And everything I've done up until this point, whether it's with the Wizards or whether it was on the other podcast I was trying to start with my brother a couple of years back, or stuff I did at Penn State, it all prepared me and it all had me in the world of media. It all gave me the experience necessary to be prepared to be the host of my own show. Now, matter of fact, with the Wizards, when I interviewed for the Wizards, they didn't even have a podcast. They've been around since 1962. They didn't have a podcast. All they had was a YouTube channel and an Instagram page with 32,000 followers. So I was like, "What's your content?" This was in 2019. I was like, "What's your content besides highlight videos and selling merchandise off the website?" And they're like, "That's it." I was like, "You need a podcast and you need videos." And they were just like, "Can you make one?" I was like, "If you hired me and pay me for it, hell yeah, I can." And they did. So that type of experience has been very beneficial for me and has gotten me a number of interviews throughout this whole process.